Elgin, what did I do with my tablet?
What happened to Lupe?
Lupe's a year older than her. She lives here.
3 years older.
My daughter's always asking me about her.
Oh yeah, she lives here in town over on Liberty. Yeah, her kids are all grown.
Wait a minute. No, let me come over here because I think I want to make it comfortable for her. No, you sit there.
You want me to bring you a chair over here?
No, I want you to sit right here, Jane. Because she needs to hear you, and I need to get your voices on here. But I'm going to get mostly Mary.
Yeah, go get Mary because I didn't get myself
Move
ready.
the camera.
Okay.
The cane from there.
Just so that, let me back out a little bit.
I know.
This is really nice because it plugs right into the computer.
Oh, for heaven.
And makes
Yeah.
PowerPoint.
Okay, and now.
Nothing but these gadgets.
Okay, go. Yeah, and it's on.
Okay. Mary, can you tell us what your maiden name is for the camera?
Your name, Ma.
I didn't hear you good.
What is your maiden name?
Oh, my
Before you were
maiden
married,
name?
yeah.
Oh, gee, I don't remember.
No? Okay, do you remember when you came to Elgin?
Huh?
What year did you come to Elgin?
Oh,
Just relax, Mary. It's okay. Just as if you were
gee,
talking to me
I
over
was-
coffee.
I forgot. Oh, I was 6 years old.
You were 6 years old. And you came from where?
Hmm?
What part of, where did you come from? You and your family when you came here?
Oh, that's a long, long story.
Yeah.
Nah,
Was it Mexico?
I don't even remember if it was Morelia.
Morelia,
I
Michoacan?
think so.
Uh-huh. Morelia is beautiful.
Huh?
Morelia is beautiful. I've been there. I've been there a couple times.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, very beautiful.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and how many, when you came, how many of you were there? You and who, what are your brothers and sisters were with you?
When I what?
When you came, when you came here, who, hi Rafaela, who came with you?
Oh, my mother, my father.
Uh-huh.
I guess that was it.
Just the
No.
three of you?
Of the United States?
The three of you. Okay, your
Okay.
parents. What was your father's name? Cayetano Siete.
Siete,
And your mother?
Raquel, Landero
Oh,
de Siete.
Landero de Siete. Okay. Okay, and then, did you come straight to Elgin?
No, because we were in Texas.
You were in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. And there,
We were in Houston, Texas.
you were in Houston. Hmm?
And there, don't even want to recall it.
Okay, so that's where Rafaela was born. Okay, then Rafaela was born there.
Yeah, but they also were in Pleasant, George West, where Angeline was born. They were George West
George
first,
West.
Texas, and Angeline was born there, and then they went to Houston, where I was born.
My sister, Rafaela. Angelita. And Angelita.
Okay, and then Rafaela in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Then you moved to Elgin and you were a baby, Rafaela.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you come to Elgin? Why did the family come to Elgin?
Huh?
Why did the family come to Elgin?
Oh, see, because my father was here many years ago, and he worked in over there in Mexico in with trains, and
The railroad.
he know how to fix everything, and he came here many years ago. He did the same kind of work on a railroad, so he went back to see his mother and everybody, all of us, and then he said, no, we're gonna go to Mexico, so because to America, because I can find work over there again, and we stay in Texas for quite a while, and he came first over here, and then the owner of the area where we were, she wrote a letter and gave it to my mom, because my mom couldn't understand good English and speak. So, and Angela was so little, and I can say, come on, Angela, come on, the train is gonna leave us.
Well, so you came on the train from
Oh,
Texas.
my sister Rafaela was a baby. Oh, and then I remember when we got to where the train is, she helped my mother.
Yeah.
Oh, well, be careful. Africa, they spoke some Spanish, you're not African. And then I still kept pulling Angela, come on.
So you were the oldest. Isn't it wonderful to be the oldest? We remember a lot of things, don't we?
So
Okay.
from there, the lady gave Toyota already a letter, in English to show to the conductors and everything,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So you came by train. And do you remember where you first lived when you came to Elgin?
When we first came here to live to Elgin, yes, because we went down. I don't know if he had been there before or not. I don't remember. We went down that place way down over there, the Buddhists that they used to call Mexico City.
Yeah, I remember that.
And oh my Lord, my God.
I think most of the Mexican families lived there, right? Most of the Mexican families lived there at that time.
No, there
that were
was a
here.
lot of Mexican families everywhere, and oh my God, and I was so scared, and then finally, I don't know if you remember, but the Castelos, there were
Yeah,
a
el
lot
señor
of
Castillo.
Castelos. They like to go shooting everywhere. And I
El
used
papá
to be
de
so
Dolores, de
scared.
Lola. Yeah, Lola's father.
And I s-
It
and
was
I
also
even
Joe.
What? O Joe
Jose.
Castillo,
Jose Castillo.
que era el papá de Frank.
Yeah.
Okay, ¿y cómo se llamaba el otro? Don Hipólito.
Don Hipólito.
Oh, jeez, it's coming to me
See,
too.
they were all here
and
already.
then,
too.
See, and that's never mentioned anywhere.
Never been mentioned. So were the Martinez,
She was just telling me that
Yeah.
the Martinezes, the Ruizes.
right?
So that could be added on here. By then, the Castillo families, Hipólito and Joe Castillo. More or less, what year was this that you came here? I think you have it in your piece of paper.
Yeah.
1928?
29.
1928.
Yeah, because I was born
I
in
don't
28 and
Mhm.
came in 29.
a year. It was quite. No, I can't remember because I can't remember.
No, they came in 28. In 28.
1928.
Yeah, because I was
Oh, yeah.
2 months old when
Yes.
they came.
1928.
Yeah, 28.
And by then already Hipólito and Joe Castillo were here. And by then Hipólito and Joe Castillo were here.
The
What year?
Costellos.
The Costellos were
the
here
Costello
then.
family. They were here already, you said, the Costellos. were some of the other families that were here?
Oh,
Were the Saucedas here already?
there were so many that I don't remember no more.
The Valdivias were
lived
here, Mary.
Or Doña Torora.
Valdivia.
Yeah, Doña Torora. I don't know if I say the name right. And who else? Oh, and all the family of Rita Camacho. I mean,
The Pompa family.
Rita was
But they came after us, Mary, after you did. They came after we did. They came in 1929.
The Pompas.
But the Valdivias were here. And that's where Jesse Sacita and all of them were from.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all, I mean, they were Mary's single name was Valdivia.
Okay. This is really, this should be put in chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so then the Pompas were here.
I remember that last name of Doña Torora.
She's probably,
And then, so then we lived in one of those houses way down there, all of us. And then my dad decided, no, they were charging too high rent and all this and that. So then our dad decided to buy a house. And he had a hard time to find that time, the house,
at
you
that
know.
time.
And
How am I going to put this question? Do you think it was hard to find a house because you were too many, or because of the language barrier, or because there weren't that many Hispanics here then?
well, I told you, we were a lot of children, and they were charging too high. So then our dad decided that he was going to buy a house, and he bought the one on Bartlett.
But that was way after Mary. That was in the 30s. It was about 1937 or
So 8 years after you got here.
here. But we had a hard time finding a place to live because it was a depression, and nobody wanted to rent it to us. You know, we had a hard time, and so we ended up sometimes even moving in with other families. We lived with Nicolasa for a while on State Street because we didn't have a place to go.
Nicolasa,
Gutierrez, Adolf Gutierrez.
Adolf's mother. No, but she's also connected with the Valdivias, no?
Right, she is a Valdivia.
She's
She
a
was
Valdivia,
right.
okay. You know, Nicolasa, the Gutierrez that she's talking about, they're tied in with Albert. You know,
Yeah, Albert is their
Sheila's
son.
father.
Yeah. Okay. So great grandparents to Ralph and Sheila.
See, this is the first I've heard all this because, well, after she turns that off, we'll talk.
Well, I'm going to get an hour or as much as I can on this, and then we're going to edit it to 10 minutes, but then I'm going to give the whole thing to probably Mike L. for their archives, you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'll
This
put
should
this.
this should be in the archives, the official archives.
Well, that's what we want to do, is try to get as much information and just put it in the Elgin history. And they could just, I'll make these into CDs for everybody.
So, at that time, then you guys went to school here.
Oh, yes.
Was there school? I mean, they sent the buses out for you.
I
There was
went
no
to
buses.
different schools over here.
That's probably
There was
nice.
no buses then.
That's me.
Oh, it's you.
We had to walk. We had to walk. There was no buses.
So,
I went to gun school, and I'm
Grant school.
telling you,
Oh
we
my
used
goodness.
to give money. They said that we had to take money to save and save. Oh my God! Well, we moved on this way. The thing closed, and then he gave me my money or the book. Then he gave me the book either. So when the bank had all the children that had money over there, I forgot, grant school, can bring their book and get their money back. I didn't get nothing. You know, and because I had to have proof, you know, and then
Well, it's hard when your parents do not speak the language, and you know, I mean, as a child, you learn to fend for yourself, and sometimes you're not the best advocate for yourself because you're a child.
yes, well, so that like I said, our father bought that house down there in Bartlett, and of course there were a lot of kids, so small, you know, all of us.
Okay, how many of you were there all together of the Sietes?
Pardon me?
How many children were you? How many?
Oh,
Let's see.
too many.
Mary, Angeline, Rafaela.
Cipriano.
Sip is the oldest of the boys?
Huh?
Sip is the oldest of the boys?
Yeah. Sip.
Oh, Cipriano, Domingo,
I always thought
Dan.
Domingo.
No,
And then
Sip is
Dan.
the oldest. Sip,
And then
Dan,
Frank.
Frank.
Cayetano, and Domingo. And then Frank was born in 1935.
No, Rupert
What
was
is
born
going on
in
with these
35.
phones?
Huh?
Rupert was born in
He
35.
was born in 35. Frank was born in 37.
Hi, I'm right in the middle of my interview. What's going on? So that was Mary.
But some of them had that. We had a sister that died. Her name was Esther. She died here.
Oh.
Esther died in 1920.
Who was she after?
After me.
Okay.
And then Sip was born in 1930. And then,
Domingo.
no, Don was born first. Cayetano, his name is Cayetano.
Cayetano Jr.
And then Domingo. And then there was one after Domingo that died. Wasn't there one named Frank that died?
Yeah.
After Domingo, right?
Well, he died and I wasn't here, remember?
Yeah.
And I was in Michigan. I didn't even know he died till I got home.
He thought
No,
it was
I'm talking
Domingo.
about when he was a baby.
Huh?
That we had a brother named Frank that died
Oh.
when he was a baby.
Oh,
You-
in a foundry.
Yeah, by the fire. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
We still
Yes.
live by the river. We used to live by the
Yes.
river where the old brewery used to be.
Uh-huh.
My dad built a house there along the river, and that's where we lived when all these kids were born. And then they said we had to move out because that was private property. But my dad had built a house there. There was cars and all that along there, and Don Claudio Vasquez lived next door to us, and we all had to move out. And people before that had already moved out. We were the only ones left.
Now, was he related to Jeannie Vasquez?
Yeah, that was her grandfather.
Or her grandfather?
Claudio Vasquez was here.
Claudio Vasquez.
And then
So-
there was another family that lived.
So he was Manuel Vasquez's father.
Yes, and then also there was another family that lived ahead of us. They went back to Mexico where the Aguinigas, Melesio Aguiniga, lived there, and then he went back to Mexico during the Depression when they were letting people go back and then pay their fare. He
Uh-huh.
went back to Mexico. He lived there too.
Now, he was related to Froilan?
It was his brother.
Oh, Froilan's brother.
Yeah, and Froilan was here, but he was the one that lived next door to us.
Okay. Let me go back. Frank was deceased, and then after Frank, he was born.
After
It was Domingo, and then Frank, and he died as an
the
infant.
baby, yeah, and then after him was Rupert, and then after Rupert was Frank, and after Frank was Jose. He died in 1941.
Is that Domingo?
Huh? No, Domingo. We already said Domingo.
Jose died as an infant also?
Yes. He was 2 years. Oh, he was about 2 years old, or a year or something. He was the same age as Joe.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he died in 1940. And my mother died in 1941. And that's when we were already living
On Bartlett
on
Place.
Bartlett Place, right.
No wonder Sip gets so upset. I mean, this is history that everybody had skipped over. Wow. Okay.
I don't even like to remember that day
What day?
when Domingo died. I mean,
Oh.
when I even forgot now who was working at the foundry.
Rupert.
Rupert, he died in an accident at the
You know,
foundry.
what year was that? Because
Rupert, because
I remember when we came here, and we came here in the fall of 1957.
I used to go in their foundry to take lunches.
He died in
Our
February
father.
of
And I was so
1955.
I was so scared of that foundry, you know.
But when I came, and I was just a kid, I was 11 years old. I remember because my mom and dad had already met you and Edward, and one time somebody, I don't know if it was you or I remember Fortunato was there too. Everybody was like, chit chatting. We were in the backyard, Joaquina's backyard, and you guys were talking about Rupert, and we never met him. I just remember that you guys said that he died very young.
Rupert, let's see. Rupert died in 1950 in February 19th of 1955.
Yeah.
From that accident
It's
at the
almost a year and a
foundry.
half before we came.
And then that same year, because I was expecting David. David was born in August of 1955. Yeah.
Rupert couldn't have died in 1955 because I graduated in 1954. And he was gone already.
No, he died in February.
I graduated from high school in 1954. He was gone.
Then it was 1954. Wait a minute.
No, he was gone quite a while before I graduated from high school.
He died in February.
Well, he could have died in February.
And I was
but not in
expecting.
54.
I was expecting David. And Philomena was born in '54, and Rupert was, I think he was still alive. In the following year, he died in February. He died in '55, and David was born in August of '55. It was It was.
I was so scared to go to that damn foundry. Oh, I used to look everywhere. And then I would go way up to the office to get out. Because one day I got out through the window. And they seen me. Oh, then I get help from my father.
Oh.
Don't you dare do that no more.
They were strict back then. Parents were very strict.
So I go through the office, but I was scared of all that stuff. And I used to say, oh, and they shovel, turn in the machines
Oh,
and
yeah.
all that.
Foundries were very, very
I
dirty.
was always scared.
I worked in a foundry for 6 months, and my dad could have killed me because I quit a really good job. To go work at Moline Malibu. And my dad was ready to pull his hair out. And he said, I give you 2 days. You're going to stay here 2 days. I wanted to go home that first day. But because he told me 2 days, I stuck it out 6 months. Just to say, see, I did do it 6 months.
Rafaela, what place was that? What foundry was that? Do you remember?
Woodruff and Edwards.
Oh, Woodruff and Edwards.
Yeah, it was
okay.
right there. Now it's a park.
Yeah.
That was where they had one of the little stores across the street from Woodruff and Edwards. George Hernandez had a little store.
Yeah.
He had a little Mexican
Well, when
store.
we were little, there was a grocery store on Lawrence, up right below the railroad tracks.
Yeah?
Carson's. That's where we used to go to the grocery store. Then that lady is the one. That's when we lived by the river. We used to go up there to get stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that lady there is the one that used to bring us, because we were poor, bring us clothes and stuff like that. When we lived by the river, they used to come down by the river.
Oh, I was going
Those
to
were
tell
high
you.
days, weren't they?
They used to send me I told you they bought me a wagon because I always wanted to be a boy. So I had to come with a wagon to
To get
buy
the
stuff.
groceries.
But it's not, I don't think it's so much, Mary, that we wanted to be boys. We were the older ones, and we had to fill in for what our parents couldn't do. And so I feel that, I remember feeling that.
I don't remember if we had. I remember if you remember the dog and the dog would follow me. And I used to, they call him Salaver. I said, Salaver, go back, go back. Then,
He was protective.
then our father,
Well, it had to be, even back then, I imagine it was very dangerous.
He
A
was
lot of
very
people.
protective. Yeah.
then they would give me heck, while that dog would listen to me.
That's when we lived by the river. She talked. We still live by the river.
He would go in the stores and everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now, when do you remember that, and I've always said this, wondering about this, when did Refugio Magaña come?
what
Do you remember Don Refugio and Anita Magaña? Do you remember
Yes.
them? What year did he come? Don Cuco,
Oh, gee. They were here, man,
before you guys.
they were here. I don't remember, but there was a lot of,
Because she used to tell me, Anita, when I was a kid, I used to
Yes.
like to talk to her a lot.
yes,
And Anita used to
Yes.
tell me that they also lived in Mexico City by the
Yes.
river. And she used to tell me that the stores downtown would open on Sundays for a short time so that the Mexican people and some of the African American people could go and buy. And that at some of the stores, you could not try the clothes on. You had to put them, like you were going to buy a pair of jeans or a pair of pants, you would put them next to you and say, yeah, these look like they're going to fit me. And then you would buy them. But you weren't welcome to any other time, just certain times to go shopping. And she remembers that.
yes.
And she told me she was Cherokee, Indian, and African.
Yeah, that was many years ago.
Yeah.
That
She was a very interesting lady. She had a lot of stories. I wish I had taped her, but I was just a kid myself.
and and I was just a little girl that I used to say, "You're gonna marry me."
Who used to say that?
The husband of Anita Magaña.
Oh, Don Refugio.
I
Well,
used to
you
be-
know, I imagine there weren't
I
that
used
many
to be-
girls around.
I used to just look
Because
at
even
it,
when I was a teenager,
know,
there weren't that
and I'd
many
be so scared.
Mexican
I just go like
boys.
that. And I thought I used to say to myself, never.
But the interesting thing is most of the settlers that came to Elgin, the Mexican people that came to Elgin, were from Michoacan, from the state of Michoacan.
Yes, they came.
The early
a lot of
settlers
them from the state
State of
Michoacan.
Michoacan. The same like West Chicago. West Chicago, all the founders there is all Michoacan.
Oh,
And they date Hispanic presence since the Civil War in West Chicago.
and then Anita,
My dad came when he was a teenager,
That's what she said in the
and he worked here,
1990s.
and then that's why he went back, and that's why he came back again. He came as a teenager, and he worked on the railroad.
Because Don Luis Diaz,
He's another one.
the
But
grandfather,
he came. Yeah,
but he came later than you guys because I was talking.
came
We were
later.
talking to Marco,
yeah, he came later.
and Marco said, yeah, that he came later. But it used to be the men would come first, and then bring the wives and the families over here.
I don't know if you remember that for many years they will find dead people in the river, and they said that it was for Nafundre, that somebody killed
Oh,
them.
I've heard stories of that.
That somebody killed them, and that
And who would say anything?
it was a secret that they won't tell nobody, and then they will find the bodies floating. That's why I was so scared every time I went to Fondrego. And I said, and of course, the shovel of that junk for to
Make the
work.
most.
Well, no, a gravel and a lot of
Well, yeah, they
sand.
use a lot of gravel, a lot of sand for it.
To make the mold.
Believe me, I learned. I used to come home, my nose is all stuffed up with sand from the foundry. And I think of my dad working there for 25 years.
And so finally, Anita Magaña married. They used Refugio, I think it was.
Don Refugio.
Yeah, well, they used to call him Cuco.
Don Cuco.
Yeah, see, you
I
remember.
remember all that, yeah.
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 And she used to say, "We're gonna move to Mexico." And then
He probably, that was his dream, like a lot of,
and
people.
then you know what she used to say? Over there, don't have to buy all that food. I can go to the forest and pick nopales.
She, I think one of the things that intrigued me about her, and that's the reason I like to talk to her, was that she really was very much into the Mexican
Well, because
culture with him.
Yeah, with him. Yeah.
Because, but not everybody, I mean, she really knew a lot about what we were about.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I didn't even know what was nopales. So they told me it was cactus. And and they said, she used to say, "Oh, over there, go pick a lot of nopales everywhere."
Fresquecitos, yeah.
And
And look at me. Yesterday, I was craving nopales yesterday.
oh,
So, Mary,
and then she adopted a boy.
I think so because she had a grandson that went to school with my son,
Yeah, yeah.
a little boy that would
She
be.
adopted Richard.
Huh?
She adopted Irene Valdivia first,
Okay.
and she died
Oh, so they
of
were.
tuberculosis. She was 14 years old
Oh,
when she died. That was Marshall and Esther Valdivia's
sister.
sister. It was Alfonso Valdivia's daughter because his first wife died and he was left with 3 girls and a boy. His wife died when they were little, and the one that took care of them, but Anita Magaña and Refugio adopted Irene, and then the other ones lived with Jesse Valdivia.
Now, I don't think I ever met Jesse
Marshall
Valdivia.
I forgot.
Jesse Salceda, I mean.
Jesse Saucedo.
Right.
Oh, okay, yes, yes.
Jesse Salceda, she adopted.
Because
She took care of him. But
yeah.
the father worked in the Chicago Raw and Elgin, so he paid her. He would pay her to take care of him. And I'll never forget when Esther told me that that when she graduated from grade school, Jesse Valdivia told her, "Well, you can go to work now." She said, "You don't need to go to school." But she said, she sent her daughter to school, to high school, but she didn't let them go to school. To high school. So they went to work downtown. There used to be an ice cream place that was right next to the Rialto Theater. What was the name of that place next to Barnett's, that ice cream place,
Oh my
coffee
God,
place?
Barnett's. I remember Barnett's.
It was right next to the Rialto. What was the name of that place?
Michael.
No, there was in downtown in Elgin.
Oh.
Remember, there was a ice cream place. Was it Louis?
Oh yeah.
What was the name of it? Do you remember?
Was that Blooms?
No. What was the name of it? Do you remember that ice cream place where Carmen went to work there and Esther went to work there? But I don't remember that you were like waitresses. I can't remember the name of the place. It was an ice cream place.
I don't know how they make the ice cream. And then I was gonna tell you, then Anita Magaña, I think she adopted a boy,
That was Richard.
and she died of asthma, right?
Well, I don't know, but there was a little boy that went to school with my son Rudy, and
That was
so that boy
Richard.
would be he would be about your age, 40. No, he's about 45, 46.
So he's Rudy's age, yeah.
He adopted Richard. That was the last one.
But this man Marshall that they're talking about, Marshall was very charitable and loving with my dad. He used to work at the foundry, and he always stuck up for my dad, and they were friends till the end. When my dad went, he went to the funeral and everything, and then Marsh, he just died, 3 years ago?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, about 3, 4 years ago.
So I was gonna tell you to remember that.
But besides that, there was a Flores's. The Tomas and Pascual Flores. They came from Kansas, and they were back there too because the Pascual Flores was my padrino from the bautismo, so he was already here. But he was married to a sister of his wife was a sister to the mother of the Valdivias. Her name was Jesus.
That was your godmother.
That was my godmother.
Well, when they were doing this, I told Lil, but I don't know how much the boys remember, the Flores boys. I told her, well, we could talk to Russell or, Tony, but I don't think Tony remembers saying he was one of the younger ones.
The only
Tony's
one that we
age.
remember would be Joe, and he lives in St. Louis now.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
yeah. But,
But
I
Paul
know
Martinez. Paul
he goes to
Martinez.
St. Joe's yet.
Paul Martinez would know because his father was one of the ones that was here, and his mother died here also.
Okay, so Paul Martinez, that family was here also when you guys.
He was here a long time.
They've always been quiet and never come
Yeah.
forth and said, "Wait a minute," because all these years.
Everybody else.
I'm intrigued with all these things you're telling me. Now Tomás married Anastasia.
Anastasia.
And
he was
Anastasia.
a brother to my padrino, Pascual Flores.
Sí. So I got that here. Now Anastasia
Was a
was a
pompa.
half sister to a pompa or a pompa.
A pompa.
She was a pompa.
Yeah.
She was very.
Her
I remember
and
them both very well.
Fortunato and Ross and Jesse. And Jesse the man and Jesse the girl were brothers. And Rita.
Rita was a baby.
Rita was the youngest one.
Yeah, because at one time I was telling Tony, I said, my granddaughter's name's Anastasia. I always often think of your mom. And he said, that it's very unusual that nowadays somebody would name their daughters. Okay, so the Pompas came.
The Pompas came in 1929. When they came. And so did the Reeses.
Okay, I was telling Mary, I'll just jot it here. I was telling Mary that then the Chavez family, Chabelita, her family must have already been here in Hampshire.
Yeah, because my dad knew them. My dad knew them in Hampshire. We used to come out to Hampshire when we were little.
And one of the secretaries that worked at EDCC, Susan Spengler Abel, she was a Medina.
Oh, the Meninas, they lived in Pingree Grove. And they worked their father worked on the railroad also.
And her two aunts are still living.
Yeah.
She's got Mary Medina Diaz, I think it is. And I don't know what her mom, I don't know.
Her mother's name was Ramona. I don't know if she's still alive. Her mother's name was Ramona. I don't remember what
She's real funny. She's real funny. One time we were sitting at Paul's, Susan's mom, and she comes up and she stood there and she stared at Manny and stared at Manny and she said, shut it up. But anyway, Susan said, one time we talked and she said, I know I'm Hispanic, she says, but I don't know anything about my family.
Yeah, they didn't want to be involved.
One of the guys that was in a custodial, something there at ACC. Fíjate how the world goes around. Okay, so Martinez, and who did you tell me? Martinez and who came at the same time?
No, I didn't say about them.
The Martinez's and...
I don't know when they came.
Okay.
I don't know how
in
long.
1929, who was here? Who came?
It was the Pompas and the Reeses. Nicolas and Maria Reese came in 1929.
Now, these Reeses, they had a daughter that Sip always talked to me about her, that she was very pretty and she died.
Carmen, her name was Carmen. And then there was Guadalupe and Mary Louise and Cora.
Cora is the one Sip used to talk to me
Cora.
about. Cora.
She
was
moved
very
to
beautiful.
Florida. She lives in
Oh, so
Florida.
she's not the one that died.
No, the one that died
That
was
was
Carmen. She was 30 years old. She was a beautiful. She had real long eyelashes. She looked like Maria Montez, the movie star. Yeah, that was Carmen.
So this is...
and that was
it
Joe
Nicolas
Castillo.
and who?
Joe Castillo's wife. Manuel Castillo.
I heard a lot of stuff about
Manuel Castillo's wife.
But tú sabes, I worked at Rawhide. I mean, everybody knew. That would have been a good time to do a history of the Hispanics at Rawhide. It was Nicolas and who? What was?
Nicolas and Maria Reese.
Maria Ruiz. Okay.
Now they had already been in Kansas. And from Kansas they came here. And that's when the Floreses came also. And the Bumpus came. All came through Kansas.
So, Jack Camacho then was already here, and this is where Rita met him, obviously.
Yeah, she met him here.
Okay.
She met him here.
I
I don't
He's
know.
also from Michoacan.
When did Jack Camacho come? Do you know? Jack Joaquin Camacho. Do you know when he came? Was he here already?
Joaquin Camacho.
Joaquin.
Yeah. No, Joaquin. Jack Camacho, Rita's husband.
Camachos.
Yeah.
The Camachos were here. I don't know how old I was.
But
But he was a very young
Did
man.
they
He
come
was-
before you, or before us, or did he come after? Jack, when did he come?
Oh,
Were we here already?
they were here when I don't know what year they came, but we were in Mexico City when
So they did come after.
they came. I don't remember what year, cause I remember that our dad said we're gonna go to see the baby Jesus.
Yeah, they used to have
Yeah.
they used to celebrate Christmas.
Con la acostada y la levantada del niño
Well,
Dios.
and the Rodriguez were here too.
Rodriguez is-
Eva Rodriguez. And what was her husband's name?
Is that Francisco's family? Francisco Rodriguez?
No. This was a different Rodriguez.
You mean Paul Rodriguez?
Paul Rodriguez. Paul Rodriguez?
Is that the guy who's now the Paul Rodriguez that, no?
No, and
He was married to a güera.
he was married to Abuela and then Candelaria Rodriguez. They eran hijos de Jose y Genoveva Rodriguez. They lived right across from the foundry. I don't know when they came.
When did the Tauruses come?
They must have come afterwards, because, yeah,
I
I don't
thought they were more like us, like around the 50s.
Yeah, I don't know when they came.
I thought they were around the 50s.
Yeah.
But Candelaria, well, Candelaria Torres is their mom.
Well, they date back too, back there.
Oh, okay. So then they did come way back.
Candelaria de Rodriguez.
I worked with Candelaria when I
And
was
then
a teenager.
there was a Pete Medina. He was a brother-in-law to the Castillos. But then he went back to Mexico.
Oh,
He went
gosh.
back to Mexico.
I remember that. I was already.
But it's
3 or
interesting
7.
how everybody from Michoacan settled in these areas.
I forgot. I told you I had a wagon. I forgot.
Ella todavía está con su bebé.
I forgot what they used to send me. Ooh, I was so scared to the Castillos. And I said, ooh, I used to say, oh, hope nothing happens to me. I was scared. Oh, then I was going to tell you, Marshall, Batavia. When we were little, we used to go to the movies. And we paid 10 cents.
Yeah, I paid 10 cents too when I was little to go to the movies.
And then he used to say, Mary, don't forget. Don't you ever marry nobody. I'm going to marry you.
Ay, tan lindo. But he was always, what I remember about Marshall, he was always smiling. So he, even in his old age, he had the smile frowns on his, the laugh lines.
He was an orphan without a father. Those kids, they went through a lot too. Esther.
Well, I was
Esther
just
and
thinking that he
Carmen.
said he had been in a seminary, I think, at one time even. Wasn't it him?
I don't know if he was. I know Frank Castillo was. Frank went to.
Frank and Jesse Joe?
They went to Sacred Heart Seminary in Geneva.
Oh,
I don't know
wish
about
I could
Marcia.
remember the name of that woman. They had the Castillo had a piano. And I don't know.
Ramona.
Yeah.
Ramona.
Doña Ramona. I was thinking of her this morning. I don't know why.
And
I don't know why she came to my mind. I remember her.
Yeah, she was a very pretty.
Era una
lady.
señora muy distinguida.
Very,
Tenía un
very
porte muy
pretty lady.
distinguido.
wasn't the piano automatically?
She had a piano.
None of her daughters really
Yeah.
looked like her.
And she,
No.
and she used to say, oh, look how beautiful I play the piano. Don't I play beautiful?
probably brought her from Mexico.
Yeah, he did. Actually, you know what? The Castillos were well-to-do in Mexico, and this Ramona was a maid in their house. Y se enredó con Hipólito y se la trajo para acá. She was a maid. Of course, they don't tell you that, but she was a servant in his house. They were well-to-do in Mexico, then they came over here. But
Well, those years were rough years. It was
they were
right after the
alcoholics.
revolution.
He thought they became alcoholics.
Sí. Yo me acuerdo del papá de Frank.
Very bad alcoholics.
Yeah. Yo me acuerdo de todo eso.
And,
You know, my family lived with Chabelita for I don't know, maybe we lived
who
there
was
about 6
Teófilo,
months.
Mary? There was a Teófilo. Teófilo? What was his last? Teófilo? There was a Teófilo. They lived over there. Didn't he live across from where the Reeses lived on Grove Avenue? In the house that was the back of the tracks? Wasn't he married to a Pachita or something?
oh, there was, you mean behind the,
On the tracks.
oh, by the tracks. There was not Torora. Oh, I forgot how many.
Was she your
houses.
friend? You really
How
remember
many
her
houses
name?
one
Doña
there
Torora.
was down there by the tracks, and oh, what happened? I think that the man was gonna catch the train to get some coal from that big thing where they have all the coal.
Mm-hmm.
And
The coal bin.
accidentally he
fell in.
and got killed.
Yeah.
And there was Doña Torora.
You know, if I were to tell these kids, the first house we lived in Wellington Avenue had it was a coal bin. And they used to come and the truck used to come and just load it up, and then that's how we heated up the house.
I had that in Bartlett.
And we would get up and we would have our noses would have all that black under your nose and everything. In the morning we'd get up.
And I remember that I always was so scared of everybody. And then over where my comadre Rita lived, there was a Torora, and then there was another family there. And you know what they did? The man, he would put a lot of flour to see if anybody would go in there to see his wife.
Hey, didn't that Dona Teodora, did she move to Indiana?
Huh?
Didn't that Dona Teodora move to Indiana?
Oh, it was Teodora.
Teodora, didn't she
Teodora,
move to
like my
Indiana?
grandma's
She was
name.
one of these that did cures.
Era curandera.
Yeah. Era curandera. And they moved to Indiana.
And and then when Rafaela used to go to work, I was so scared, after we lived over there in Bartlett. I said, oh, I wonder who's going to come in this house.
Yeah.
I was scared.
Well, no, and you guys were you were still very young, very little, and you were by yourselves. It had to be scary. Was there at that point? Was there anything with immigration like you hear now, going after people or anything like that? Because you came here and you were living here during the time of the what they call it la repatriación, when like you were saying, they gave you a choice to go back.
Yeah, I told you that
Medina.
no, what's his name? Melesio Aguiniga.
Oh yeah.
He went back with that.
They don't leave us alone, though.
He went back with that.
Now, Fräulein never really went back to Mexico either.
But his brother did.
I wonder if he ever kept in touch again, no, ¿verdad?
With his
He
brothers?
started with his brothers?
Well, his brothers ended up getting involved with the union in Uruapan. And they were very much into,
Con el sindicato.
they were very much into
Well, I don't know why. So Fräulein was also from Michoacán.
Yeah, and Furlian, and so was also, he married Celia. ¿Cómo se llamaba que se casó con Celia? ¿La güera?
What?
Yeah, what was his name? He is the one that adopted a boy and took him back to Mexico.
Oh, gee, I can't think of it.
What is that? He was related to Furlian.
So that who is that other brother? Froilán y quién? I'm falling behind.
Melesio.
Melesio.
Yeah. And then this other one, what was his name? The one that married Celia, and they adopted a boy. Celia, remember Celia La Güera? And they went back to live in Michoacan. And they died over there, both of them.
I don't remember. Yeah.
And they adopted a güero, and they took him over there, and he's a lawyer there now.
And
They took him as a baby.
and what's her name?
Because when we came here, I still remember that there weren't that many families, and this was already mid 50s, and pretty much everybody knew everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, like all these people you're talking about, like the Ruizes, the Aguiñegas,
The old timers.
we knew them. And then I think when my family came in the mid 50s,
That's when more
there was
people.
a big influx.
Yeah.
And that's when the De Leons came. That's when we came, the Ramirez's, the Becerras.
But you know what? In the 1940s, their immigration was out to get out because there was a lot of raceros that came, and they were out a lot of them didn't go back, and they were out looking for them. That was in the 40s. Especially after the war
we never
was
think
over.
of that, but I know of a personal friend who is actually a couple of years older than me, and they're my compadres. And all my life I always thought he was Tejano. And come to find out when he had to go and claim his Social Security, he couldn't claim it. Nunca tuvo papeles.
Yeah, it's a racero.
Se lo trajeron, yo creo su papá, bracero, whatever, y nunca, there was nothing. And he went for years trying to establish who he was and why he was here. And he had a good pension because he worked at one of these big established companies with a good pension. The Social Security, all that, I mean, he needed to prove who he, And he was married, had kids here, and he had even gone to school here. I mean, some schooling. But that's sad, and I'm sure that's not...
That was probably in the 40s when they came during the war.
Yeah, he would have come in the 40s.
During the war, a lot of people, Mexico wanted people to come over here to work. I mean, the United States. So they came over here as braceros, and there was a lot of braceros that came. And then after the war, they wanted to send them back because they didn't all go back, and the immigration was after, looking for them.
Yeah, I remember the early 50s immigration was very, very hard in Texas.
A lot of people will come and they will leave, And I can't think of her name. Anita Magaña?
Anita Magaña.
She said, come, I didn't speak Spanish.
Well, she spoke Spanish when I met her. Ella hablaba español. I mean, not muy bien, pero sí.
And we would go to the restaurants and she would to the waiter speak Spanish. I said, I don't know how, and I don't. I said, buenos días.
Because porque probably Don Refugio didn't speak English that fluently, so she learned from him.
And then she says, why don't you say you're Mexican? I said, we're not Mexican. I said, we can't. Our grandfather lived in over there the bullfights.
In España.
Yeah, where they had the bullfights, and he got tired. Every time those bulls came around, would knock the houses down. And he said, "The heck with that place now. We're moving to Mexico." So we moved to Mexico, and.
But that's the background of most Mexicanos. We are a mixture of the European, the Spaniards. Like in my dad's family, I'm positive my dad's family has got some. ¿Cómo se llama?
Portuguese.
Portuguese in them. But it's like the United States, I mean, after a while, you got a little bit of everything. But we know for a fact, in my mom's family, there was, on her father's side, there was some European in there that we never, to us, we're Mexicanos.
And she said, like I told you, she said, "Why don't I speak Spanish? I don't know how."
You didn't speak Spanish?
How come she don't know how to speak Spanish?
I said,
Because when we were young, they didn't want, nobody wanted you to speak
Rafaela can
Spanish.
speak real good 'cause
Especially
she
when
went
you-
to school
when
Rafaela
and all
speaks
that.
very,
My
very.
sister Rafaela, oh, she worked everywhere for the storage companies. She will,
But even Sip speaks some
yeah,
Spanish. I mean,
and
I
then
used to give
she
him.
was working over there where they make the kettles, right? The kettles. That's
No, I worked I worked with my Toastmaster.
what in that big factory. and,
And she
I-
worked
And
at the watch factory.
And where they
I
make
remember
screws
that.
too. I worked
And
at
I-
Shake Proof for 8 years.
and she, yeah, I used to say, oh, I don't think I can work in there.
But how did you talk to your mom and dad? I mean, did they speak
They
English?
never knew we were
And,
young. Spoke Spanish. We spoke Spanish to my mother. My mother would not learn English. We had to speak
Well, it was very
Spanish.
hard. My mom tried.
But my
real
mom
hard to
died,
speak.
when we were little.
Mhm.
And then my dad, he was always working, so we just learned English from school.
Yeah. No,
But I always
could
had
see
an
where that
interest
happens.
in Spanish, so I always kept up my Spanish. My
Yeah.
mother, when I was little, used to get the paper from San Antonio because she had beautiful handwriting, and she used to read the paper and listen on the radio to the Spanish text
News and
from
everything.
from Texas. So she used to get the paper, and I learned to read from her paper. I always had that ambition to learn.
Now, your husband Jesse. Jesse was from Weslaco.
Yeah.
Jesse.
Just
So,
That's their mother,
oh, that's laying in state.
Yeah.
Oh,
Rafaela, her dad, my mom,
oh
and
my
Aunt.
gosh.
Let me see. I don't think I ever saw that one.
picture.
Um,
See,
Yeah.
this is
Look at my dad.
oh, Rafaela.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
right
saw
here,
it.
right here.
Yeah, and this is Angeline.
Angeline.
And this
yes.
is me next to my dad.
Yes.
And that was at the house
And
in
there's
Bartlett
her
Place.
mother.
La
And
Velamos
I
en la
was
casa
gonna
de
tell you.
Bartlett Place.
Rafaela, when you came, what did your mother do? I mean, your father worked for the railroad company, but
She was just a
a
housewife.
housewife.
Just
I
took
was
care of
gonna
all the
tell you.
kids.
Kids.
What we forgot. Her mother got real sick, and I forgot what kind of disease they had. She had that they put some black stuff on her face, and they took her to the hospital. And I was with Grandma,
I don't
And I
remember that.
cry
See?
and
I don't
cry.
remember that.
and I said, and she prayed. She prayed to the
Del
Virgen de
Virgen.
San Juan de los Lagos.
Mhm.
And she
This,
got
they were
well.
very close to Michoacan.
Well, before she got well, she dressed herself like the Virgen de San Juan
Mhm.
de los Lagos.
Hacían promesa y se ponían
Yeah.
ladito. Mhm.
And she got well. And I used to say, oh, thank you, dear God. And so then what we were supposed to do, put that outfit on her when she passed away. Well, I forgot, because I'm the oldest. I forgot. And then I said, oh, my Lord, my God. But then her stepmother took everything to Mexico. I don't even have a passport. She took everything.
So you've never been to Mexico now since you were grown up?
She took
No, she has.
everything.
She went and she was able to.
Oh, because our father married over there in Mexico. She brought a woman over here, and that woman got real mad when they sent a draft for her son to go and fight. And she got real mad. She said, "They're crazy." I said, "What's wrong?" And then my son is not gonna go into a war.
That was Miguel. Did you ever meet him?
One time at your house?
Chacon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she took everything.
That's so sad. Yeah.
And so then I thought, no, what? Then I told you she took the outfit that we were supposed to put on our mother. Then I thought, oh, we could make a hole and put it in there.
And she didn't know how to read or write because my mother had my grandfather's certificate. He studied it in New York and he graduated from university. That disappeared too.
Wow.
We never saw that certificate. I think it was in Rochester, New York, where he had gone to school.
Lupe, that's priceless. That's a gem.
Pardon?
That's a gem. That's
Yeah.
priceless.
She's got a lot of old pictures.
Somebody just sent me a picture of my mother and my aunt when they were both young, and to me, those things are crazy.
Mm-hmm. Her story is interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's my nephew Sergio.
And so I was going to tell you, I don't even understand Spanish. I watch the movies with my daughter, her novena. I just go.
You don't understand Spanish either.
Now, see, I always was ambitious. See, I always said I want to learn. And when I went to Mexico, I tried to find out about my heritage. But we never really had that kind of a contact. But I did meet some of them, you know. But I was the only one that's always been interested in my heritage.
We my brother did on my mother's side, so we pretty much had that one squared away. But on my dad's side, I would love to really know a little bit more about my dad. And one of my aunts, she was my dad's first cousin. I said, use your mic. Yes. One of his cousins.
He bought they had lot of land. And he was a doctor. And also, I forgot what else he was.
On your mother's side.
Yes. And
That's the one you said went to Rochester.
So he died. Oh, before he died, he came to the United States. And this is where he studied to become a doctor. Many years ago, Jesse and I went to Washington, D.C., and we found all that stuff in there, you know. And then he said, oh, I didn't know you came from a great family, you know. And he was a doctor, a rent collector, you know, the one that pick up the rent.
They pick up the
And
taxes.
I remember
Texas.
like I told you, that they had, I forgot it was four or five places where there were the homes. And my Aunt Rebecca, she already died. She used to say that they think that her grandpa went to lay down after he just finished eating. And she said that she probably got what they call that stuff that you die with.
Indigestion?
Yeah, and that he said, bring me some water. But at the time, that maid went to get the water to bring it back to the bed. He was dead. You know. And, like I told you, my husband.
Well, it had to be very hard for your mother because, I mean, she came from that type of family, and it was like with my mom up until the time her father died. I mean, they were pretty well-to-do, and then of course she met my dad, who did not have the same background, economically or educational, socially. But I mean, that's love, and they fell in love, and then she ended up in the United States.
And
And it's hard for them.
Here we all are, right?
And here we all are. And here we all are.
And, oh, gee, that was good. I forgot how many times we went to the Capitol, over there, Washington, D.C.
Mhm.
And